Good evening and welcome to the presentation of some of the ways and practices that the City of Ljubljana is employing to implement a successful sustainability strategy, considering also the environmental, economic and social dimensions. Before giving the word to our guest speakers, the Deputy Mayor of the City of Ljubljana, Tjaša Ficko, and the Director of Rog Center, the new creative hub in construction, Renata Zamida, I will say a few words about this building and its importance on social sustainability, which is often overlooked because of the environmental and economic pressure of the present. We are delighted to host this Utopia event in Cukrarna, a building that needs to be introduced as a great example of social economic sustainability. Constructed in just a few months in 1828, the building began its life as a sugar refinery. With the first steam engine in Slovenia, Cukrarna grew rapidly over the following decades to become the first proper factory in the region, and by the mid-19th century, the biggest sugar refinery in Austro-Hungarian Empire. Later on, the building has been remodeled several times. Following a serious fire in the refinery in 1858, Cukrarna was converted to a tobacco factory and then later to a textile factory. Later, it was also used as barracks for soldiers. Following the great earthquake of 1895, which it survived thanks to its durable construction, it was increasingly used as emergency housing for the most vulnerable classes of the city's inhabitants. Cukrarna is also thought of as the birthplace of Slovene literary modernism, as many impoverished young Slovene writers and poets found shelter in it at the turn of the 20th century. In late 2018, the municipality of Ljubljana started, with financial support of the Slovenian government and European Regional Development Fund, and in cooperation with the museums and galleries of Ljubljana, the first real renovation of the building. With the revamping of this massive, empty industrial building, the city will get a new special venue and a gallery of over 2,500 square meters, which is now considered the biggest exhibition space suitable for more demanding Slovenian and foreign art exhibition projects. By reconstructing the building and regulating the area around it, the city of Ljubljana has improved the urban environment and further revitalized the wider city area. The social aspect of the use of the space has also been improved, thanks to its new content and arrangement, a dynamic and vibrantly social space with a rich program curated by the city museums and galleries of Ljubljana. It's pro-social, and humanistic principles reflect those of the EUTOPIA Alliance, which are proudly celebrated and commemorated during this Utopia Week in Ljubljana. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome Ksenia Vidmar-Horvat, Vice Rector of Study and Student Affairs at the University of Ljubljana, to say some introductory words. Thank you.
Dear guests, dear colleagues, we live in a challenging time. Earlier this year, Robert Reich, former Secretary of Labor, posted a troublesome analysis of our precarious social condition. On the verge of the war in Ukraine, he wrote, "I was wrong entirely about our 21st century. I believed that nationalism was dead, that digital technologies would enable worldwide flows of information and knowledge, that civilization will never again be held hostage by crazy, isolated men with the power to wreak havoc, that totalitarianism and autocrats were in the past. Democracy is inevitable. And that," he added, "in the 21st century, the nuclear war was unthinkable." Months later, leading world intellectuals, Noam Chomsky included, debate the real possibility of the nuclear armed conflict. The thesis of the end of history, born on the idealistic perspective that ideologies died with communism, are facing its own end. Its author, Francis Fukuyama, in 2017 published a new book where he confessed that he was utterly wrong. Democracy is not thriving, and the use of reason to advance the common good has not prevailed. Rather, it has been replaced by post-truth and post-fact mentality. In the world polluted with irrelevant information, the public may have lost its power to decide about its own public affairs. If it happens that the future will be decided without you, Yuval Harari warns, the consequences will be nonetheless felt by you and by your offspring. It may be the fact that the empires of information and above all misinformation are on the verge of collapse as we speak today. But we are far from the state of affairs where public deliberation would be in safe hands of reason, critical mind, and verified facts. Science and state institutions of social welfare have suffered a major blow of distrust, cynical dismissal, and mockery from populists of various ideological persuasions, suggesting to us to return to the pre-modern times of cult leaders, tribal loyalties, and living and healing by intuition. How come this could have happened to us? And how come this could have happened to us in such a brief period of time, without anybody noticing the signs of the coming crisis, the planetary crisis included? If we commit ourselves to the critical reflection as the precondition of any social planning, then we must for sure inspect the way science, academic and research communities, including universities, have been communicating with the public. If we want to pave the way toward the recovery and to reinstall the trust in science, this is going to be a difficult journey of self-analysis. At the same time, this presents us with an opportunity to launch a new agenda, one which will be in constant dialogue with the social needs, one that will engage in planetary thinking and foster belief in meaning and common good. Recently, the opportunity has been described by UNESCO as the new social contract for the education. We urgently need to reimagine our futures together and take action to realize them, the document reads. But to shape the futures we want, education itself must be transformed. As someone who has been trained in social sciences and humanities, I would say that we are in utter need of bringing back to our classroom humanist thought, not only to the social sciences and humanities campuses, but to the classrooms on natural sciences and technologies as well, reshaping, refashioning them towards interdisciplinary learning communities where advancement of humankind and the governing of our planet is designed in conversation with philosophy, anthropology, sociology, and arts. That is why this event, hosted so generously by Cukrarna and co-organized by City of Ljubljana and Centre Rog, holds a special symbolic value to University of Ljubljana and via the partnership of EUTOPIA to all universities included in the Alliance. Culture, creativity, and aesthetic imagination all constitute pillars of our humanity. Centre Rog, with its new mission, as we will hear today, connects local history of labor, factory, and technology with the challenges of the 21st century, where, if I may return to the opening thought, perhaps it is a good thing that history has not ended yet, and that the intellectual mistakes made by us at the turn of the century will prove to be a potent ground to reset our thinking, our obligations, our modern social contract. Thank you.
Now, moving on to the second presentation, please give a warm welcome to Tjaša Ficko, Deputy Mayor of Ljubljana, who is primarily in charge of strengthening the international visibility and reputation of our beautiful capital city.
Do you hear me? Yes, now it's better. And thank you all for being here, not only today and tonight, but the whole 4 days, I think, you are here. So it's a pleasure and a privilege to have this opportunity to greet you here, and I was asked to share with you my own short story of green and smart Ljubljana. So my story is, in general, my story in Ljubljana is not so short, as I have been working for the city or serving to the city for the past 16 years. And now 2 days ago, we successfully completed our new election campaign, so our mayor will continue with his work for another 4 years. So we are stuck here, and I have to say that I'm really proud to be part of this big so-called city family, just a small part of big family, because great things happen in Ljubljana. I was listening now to the vice rector talking about some serious questions at the present point where we are, where a lot of changes are happening really fast, and as other organizations and companies and countries, of course also cities, we have to adapt really fast, we have to react really fast. But today I will be talking about things that we have already done, because, you know, it's always good when you maybe have a lot of challenges thinking about a future and a lot of things that you have to do. It gives you confidence if you can have this possibility to look back and say, okay, but we did a lot of good things, so we have good base to go forward. To begin with, today I made really hundreds of presentations in my life, and this one is the first one that I won't have control with the button. It's crazy for me, you know, it's a big challenge, so Eva will be helping me, because I will try to do it without a button, so I will maybe just not, okay, and then we will go forward. So first of all, I want to start with really short movie about Ljubljana. It's less than 2 minutes, just to get a glimpse of the story of green and smart. Please, Eva.
Ljubljana, Slovenia, a capital city with a green soul, a mindset of reuse and regeneration, the largest vehicle-free zone in the EU, and one of the highest percentage of green space per person. A city rebuilt with a human-centered approach connected to the natural world. A garden-to-table culture where nearly everything comes from the farms that surround Ljubljana.
We decided to just get our own garden. The idea of closing down the city center just for pedestrians and cyclists is perfect. And then we have the Cavalier service.
The Japanese knotweed is invasive plant.
Harvesting invasive plants and making them into paper.
We have a lot of rainy days, and because I have this special knowledge, I continue this work.
Slovenia collects the highest percentage of solid waste in Europe and has a green waste process that emits enough energy to power the entire Zero plant. A green jewel in the heart of Europe. It's no wonder that Ljubljana is the greenest of capitals.
It is just a short introduction in my own green story that started back in 2006, 2007, when we started with our so-called green vision or sustainable development vision. And it was quite different at the time. If I compare it to today's debates about sustainability, about awareness, a lot of people are today, we can say, really aware of what is happening, of young people demanding, you know, healthy condition, high quality life for them and their close ones. Back in 2006 and 2007, when we prepared this vision and discussed sustainability, it was more like, okay, it's a topic for Department for Environment and we others will help a bit. So it started like that. Then later on, in 2010, when we decided to run for European Green Capital and we decided to prepare the application, it was quite, I would say, a long way to this title. But we started to study what other cities are doing, and they were normally, in these applications, explain what they will do. So what will they do until 2030? They will be carbon neutral, maybe they will be climate neutral, they will change things in mobility, in terms of biodiversity and so on. And we decided we have to do something else because we were a small city, you know. I remember we're today small European capital, but when we started to go internationally, when I started my first city presentations around the Europe, I say I'm from Ljubljana, from Slovenia, and it was okay, Slovenia, Slovakia, Slavonia. So I had a lot of work to explain where we are. And we said we don't have the advertising budget, you know, of Ljubljana was not, we couldn't compare it to bigger European capitals to compete in terms of big campaigns. So he said we have to compete with facts and with what we are doing. We started to make research. We started to make some research on different topics, and then we see that we have some really good results, not only in terms of fast changes that we have been implementing in the city, but also in terms of green advantages that we already have. So we are a really green city, as you saw, 542 square meters of public green area per capita, so almost 3/4 of our city are green areas. We have high quality potable water, we have really rich biodiversity and a lot of other things. And on the other hand, so we try to change those things that were not sustainable and that were not green. And when we made this winning application in 2013, and then I had this final presentation in Copenhagen in June 2014, I was able to show not only the plans, what we will do, but I was able to show the results of what we had done. And I think that was this big impression. I think that picture made an impression on the jury. I always say that the pictures say a lot more than the words. So I think also the pictures that I will show it now to you, some of them or a majority of them are the same that I've shown to the jury back in 2014. So I show them some results and some changes that happened in Ljubljana because, you know, people tend to forget. So we tend to forget what happened and we take some things that we have today here for granted. So Eva, please help me now with some pictures. Okay, we know where we are. That is this great award of European Green Capital that we know that it was important and will be, and you know, it's an important title for a city to get, but we didn't know that it will really be this turning point for us in so many ways. I won't have the time to talk about all the side effects of this title for us, but it was important not only for my colleagues and to motivate them. You know, we always discuss now green effects. Whatever we do, we are discussing the green effects. What will it mean for the health of the people, for, you know, everything here in the city? It helped us implementing some bigger changes in the city because people were prepared to accept those changes, also to change some of their habits because we were European Green Capital. So it was really important award for us. Eva, now we will start with, okay, that was, I think, one of the most important things we've done back in 2007. We decided to close the city center for motorized traffic, not only for private vehicles, also for public traffic, so for buses. And we started with approximately 10 hectares. Today we are talking about more than 17 hectares, and we are additionally increasing this city center, so-called eco-zone. So we took it away from the motorized traffic and give it to pedestrians and cyclists. Okay? We did not just close it, so probably you walked around the Triple Bridge today. So it was like that 15 years ago or 12 years ago. No, 15 years ago, have to be concrete. Okay, Eva, it's like this today, okay? Then, so we didn't just close the city center, but we completely refurbished everything. So from pavements to, water, electricity. Here, for example, it was forbidden to walk because 2 cars and 2 buses couldn't meet. So today it's a different story, okay? Congress Square, you were there, of course. There is the main building of university, you know it. So before that, it was main parking space. Today we have open air events and a lot of things is happening in underground garage. Okay, we removed the cars from other parts. And then we have the riverbanks of our river Ljubljanica. So I wanted to show you that because I wanted to tell you how with the change of infrastructure, with greening this part, and other parts of the city, did we influence on the habits of the people. So people started to come out, to spend their time outside, to make, I don't know, sports, recreation, to socialize. So with, in the city, when you change something so drastically, you influence the habits also of the citizens. So today we have another story if we compare it to decade or 15 years ago, okay? I have some really nice pictures for you, just to remember. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to share with you, additional bridges. So we did refurbish a lot of bridges and we even built additional ones. Why? Because we took something away from the citizens when we closed the city center for traffic. So they had to walk. And we tried to shorten the distances for them. So we built those bridges, all together refurbished or built 10 of them, so that going around the city center is now easier. You probably met one of those. So we have 8 Cavaliers now. They're electric vehicles that you can use free of charge. It's a really simple idea. It's a simple idea and it's one of the most popular now. We have 20 drivers that are also our best ambassadors of the city. They know everything, have all the information. If you would want to use them, they will be happy to explain everything and to take you around this pedestrian zone. This is Slovenska Street. I don't know, how many of you are from Ljubljana? I forgot to ask. Okay, I don't know if you remember that, because I tend to forget. Slovenska Street, how it was before, it was one of our main traffic backbones in the city center. We can look how it is today. Probably you've been also there and you see that now it's closed for private vehicles. There is bus, it's so-called shared space, so bus, cycles and pedestrians in this part of the city, and we decreased black carbon emissions by 60% by doing that. And do you know what a footy is? Footy is a selfie, but you make a photo of your feet. That was quite popular back in 2016 when we were European Green Capital. So with this new pavement in Slovenska Street, a lot of influencers took pictures of their feet on Slovenska Street, so we have footies in Ljubljana. Okay? Okay, we have bike sharing system, car sharing system, very popular in Ljubljana. I know you have them also in your cities, probably. In Ljubljana, it's really, the thing is that not only that we have bike sharing system, but it's really, really popular. So more than 1/3 of the citizens are active users. We are now close to 10 million journeys in 10 years with 840 bikes. And then we have another reason that I think was really important for us to get this award. As I said, we are really a green city, but additionally to that, we changed approximately 100 hectares of brownfield areas. It was like this, so illegal garden allotments next to our cultural heritage, our city cemetery, and we changed it into green areas when people can spend their time outside, like I was saying before. So that is Šmartinski Park, also with children's playground. Of course, it's also accessible to the children with disabilities. It's another example. Yeah, let's go. There are a few examples of, that's near the river Sava, so it was really like illegal waste dump before. Now we have farm, there is horse riding possible, children's playground, a lot of additional surfaces, green surfaces for our citizens. So it's like that today. And some more pictures showing how it was before. It was really bad, and what we have done. So these are the pictures that I shown the Commission back in 2014. Okay, this is just an example. You saw before that on the presentation on the movie that in Ljubljana, so we are European capital with the highest percentage of separating waste at households. So we are now 71%. So we have really smart citizens in Ljubljana, and a lot of awareness campaign, a lot of work behind it. And this picture is just an these are underground waste collectors. I just decided to show you this picture because it's really popular for Japanese tourists. So they are making photo of our underground collectors together with other culture points of interest when they are going around Ljubljana. And it was really interesting for me to see, so that's why I'm showing those things to you. These are our ambassadors. One of our ambassadors, they were here during the year 2016, helping us build awareness, connect people. We made a lot of programs, a lot of activities during this year. And why am I showing you this picture? Because without people, you can do any campaign, you cannot change habits, and it's really not important if you are changing city with new things if you don't include people who will then live in this city and breathe it and understand it. So, okay, these going from past to present. So at the moment, we are talking about 2,400 projects that have been already made in the past 16 years for higher quality of life. These are just 9 out of those 2,400. And because I was asked to say just a word about the future, I can say that right now we have 135 projects that are alive, so that you can go and see how they are growing, from kindergartens to health centers to new culture institutions. So Renata will explain one present one really important project that is just about to be opened, and it will also change the heartbeat, the cultural heartbeat of this city, like Cukrarna did a year ago. But looking into the future, as I was listening to Ms. Ksenia before, I say, you know, the cities, as everyone, have a lot of challenges in front of us. Personally, I say, okay, we have our visions that is still sustainable. And when I talk about sustainability, you know, a lot of times people think, okay, sustainable is green. It is green, but sustainable is so much more than green. One theory talks about 3 Ps of sustainability, and I also understand sustainability through these 3 Ps. So 1 P is planet, that is this green, so sustainability through environment. Then second is our people. So very important part. We know that without people you cannot achieve anything. And talking about people, it means about well-being of the people in your organizations, companies, cities, and all the stakeholders that you influence with your work. And then the third sustainability P is profit. Profit has this negative sound, but profit in terms of health, financial situation that we all have to have. In the city, in the organization, you have to have it in your universities also to survive and to be able to follow your vision with new projects that you are planning to do. When we plan our visions, I personally with my team, when we are doing it, we are aware that we have to plan, like we are now preparing our vision 2045, but at the same time we have to know that we will have to adapt that vision in 2 years, maybe even annually, because changes happen really, really fast. But then this big change that probably you all have, this big challenge that probably you all have is that everyone is doing really different things, you know? And then we have the questions, okay, Vienna is doing that, let's do that. Paris is doing that. Have you seen what London did, you know? And it's important for us to follow everyone. You have to follow the trends. You have to follow the competition, if I may call other cities competitors, but you have to follow them, of course. But then there is this challenge that you have to adapt to your own reality. You have to see what you can do. You have to see what, you know, what the values are of your citizens, what the habits are of your citizens, how your city is different than others, you know, where are we, what we can do, how big we are, what is our budget. So these are all the questions that are challenging, but I think the most important thing is to have these main values, the main KPIs, if you want, to follow them and be ready to adapt. This is something that I learned along the way, and this is something I will try to implement in my future work. Do we have something else? I'm not sure, Eva. That's it. That's it. So thank you for listening this short story of Green Ljubljana, of my personal story, and I was told to stay here.
Yes.
If you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the presentation. And yes, as you said, before I invite the next speaker, I would like to invite you all to ask the presenter some questions regarding her presentations. If you have any, just raise your hands.
Oh, yes. Questions.
Thank you very much. What an inspiring presentation. I'm involved in the European Intelligent Cities Challenge, and many cities would like to do what you've done, as you mentioned, the competitors, but money is always an issue. How did you fund these projects? How did you finance them? And because it's such a great story, everyone would love to do that.
Thank you for the question. We are also part of ICC project, I think. Yeah, my colleagues are active there. EU funds, our own budget, and private-public partnerships. That's it. So more or less, these are three sources that we're having. This place, Cukrarna, is one of the more visible EU-funded projects that we are proud of. So also big cohesion project that we are doing a bit more than 130 million euros worth. It's also co-financed by the EU, so we have great team of co-workers being on EU funds. And yeah, we have, for example, bike sharing system is a PPP project, and some others like we have a big volleyball hall. It's the first in this part that has warm sand inside. It's also a PPP project. So we try to do it with private partners. And we have a mayor who negotiates very well for the final prize. So.
Hi, thank you for your inspiring, really inspiring presentation. And I would like to go to know where you're going from here. So, how do you see the future of Ljubljana in this sustainable pathway that you're going?
Thank you for this question. We will continue to change things that are not sustainable, and we will continue, which is really important, to foster things that are green and that are sustainable. That is something that along the way, when you try to change things and be better, you forget to take care of the things that you already have. So a lot of advantages that we have, because it's a difficult thing. For example, green areas, you know, we were talking, okay, we have like almost 3/4 of green areas. Okay, can we go, you know, further? And now the most optimistic colleagues say, yes, we can reach 1 additional %. So 1 additional % of green areas we can do, and we have to keep those green areas that we are having. Of course, we have big challenges in terms of energy, in terms of mobility. We are now exploring the alternatives to fossil fuels, so the hydrogen, electricity, so both of them. So we are implementing, we were now testing the hydrogen bus. We have also the first hydrogen station in Ljubljana now. We are testing it, so that will be in mobility. In energy will be some big changes, so we have a new gas steam unit now that is about to be opened. Of course, we didn't think that things like Ukraine and price changes will happen, so it's a big challenge for us, but we are trying to go from coal to gas now. So we will reduce the coal by 70% in next year, because we still have coal for now. We have huge district heating systems, so more than 75% of households are on district heating, but we want to go from coal first now to gas, and then solar plants. We are planning also waste energy plant, which is a big discussion now in Ljubljana. Of course, it depends on the national level, whether the state decides she wants to, we will have it in Slovenia, then we are prepared to build it also. So a lot of challenges in front of us. I could be talking about education with new kindergartens and primary schools that are also under our jurisdiction, new culture institutions, but we have such good results in field of culture. A lot of new things have been built. In terms of sport infrastructure, there will be additional things. Big swimming pool is now under construction. Another one is coming. Athletic stadium is being not built yet, but the projects are finished. So I think a lot of challenges. You know, an interesting thing is that now after 16 years, when I say to someone, every day I learn, and they say, yeah, okay, but it's really, every day happens something. When I say, okay, now I got it, then something happens that I see, okay, I have a lot of things to learn, so it's still a big challenge for me personally, after 16 years, to see a lot of things that have to be done.
Yeah, sorry, I have another question.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for such an inspiring presentation, and also being such a good example to the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. Actually, I had a question on, do you have any research on what kind of impact it has on the mental well-being or mental health of your citizens?
Which thing?
Being such a green city, changing from...
We didn't make a research on mental health of our citizens. I can say my personal opinion, what happened with these green changes. We did invite a lot of people, a lot of different stakeholder groups to be part of our programs. We did a lot of work with children, because I believe they are the best ambassadors in changing habits. You know, they're influencing their parents, grandparents, and other people around them. I can say that today people are more proactive, which is harder for us. They are more demanding, they are more critical concerning the sustainability. They demand more. Sometimes I think, you know, whatever we do, it's not good enough, but okay, we won the election, so apparently we were doing something well. It's something that you have to balance. If you want people to be part and to help you in a way, you have to be prepared that they will be more demanding. So I think we are we have to put more effort into this active work with people. If I compare 10 years ago, people were not so interested in what is going on around them. Now they are. But nevertheless, I think together we can do better things. But it's harder for us now, because everyone is, you know, and you are European Green Capital and we don't have that. And why I can see ways there. And we are not, you know, fossil fuel, and public transport is not better. So a lot of critical discussion is in public, but under the line, I think it's good for the final result for the city, we will do better. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. It wasn't my question, but I have another one. So, very good to see these pictures. It's so visual to get it out there, what it was and what it's now. So my question is, did you face any type of resistance from citizens when you were closing down for traffic? Because you know what you have, but you can probably not imagine what you can get. So, and if you would like to say something about that process.
We had demonstrations in front of the City Hall. I think the majority was for the project, approved the project, but it was a little bit the NIMBY effect, you know, not in my backyard. So it was, okay, let's close the city center, but please not for me, because my favorite hairdresser is there, or my restaurant is there, or my house is there. So there was a lot of work. That's why those things came with the additional bridges, with underground garage, with the cavaliers, you know, because we had to give something back to the people. But we made a survey a couple of years ago, and this project of closing the city center is #1 project, #1 positive project in the city. People think that really changed the heartbeat of the city, and we have 95, almost 96% of the people that support that decision today. But it is, you know, it's like today we can be smart. At the time you had to survive it. And our mayor, when he has presentations, he always says that with the change, such big change, you have to do it the first year of your first mandate. Because afterwards you start to calculate, you know, is it smart? Will I lose next election? So right in the beginning you have to do the hardest thing.
There's another question. Yeah?
A lot of questions. What about your dinner? No, I have time. I have time.
So thank you very much for your presentation. I come from Venice, Italy. So I have seen this. I've been many times in Ljubljana. It was, you know, some kind of a exotic place close to home. When I was 20 years ago, I was coming to Metelkova. You know, I had long hair, things like that. And I have seen the city evolving as I have been evolving. So this is a compliment for you.
Thank you.
And a warning and a question is, I come from Venice, and we experience the pressure of over-tourism and how it is affecting the city and expulsing, actually, the people living, in particular, in the city center, not around. So how are you dealing with this?
Thank you for the question. We are not there yet. We had some critics before the COVID. People started to say that during the summer it's too crowded in the city center. That's why we are now increasing this city center to the eastern part. We have Cukrarna, we will have Rog in a couple of months. So we'll have some new things going on here. We are refurbishing all the parts here in the center. We are doing a lot with our neighborhood municipalities, neighboring municipalities, and we are trying to send people, tourists, out of the city to other municipalities to have them in the city longer, if you understand the tactics. So we do a lot of programs with other municipalities, and the advantage of Slovenia, not only of Ljubljana, is that we are a really small country, and you can see a lot of different things. You know, if you go on daily trips, you can ski, you can go to sea, you can go to vineyards, you can really see a lot of things. But yes, this discussion arose back in 2018 and 19. But when we did, this was in media, you know. We were listening and reading in media about it, and then we did a survey among the citizens, and we saw that tourism is still a really positive topic for the people, and they know that also they get a lot of things out of tourism, because a lot of refurbishment that happens here are made out of touristic tax also. So what we got from tourists, then we can change it. That's also one of the sources for refurbishing things in the city center. So not yet there. Yeah, also, yeah. I don't know what means big issue. In media, it is big issue, yes. Also, we have this challenge because people that have additional apartments are giving those apartments in the Airbnb program, and they're not giving it, for example, to students. So, you know, the prices of apartments in Ljubljana are rather high. So now we are trying to help also with our spatial planning. So we are trying to help people to build additional one and to help with the prices. But Airbnb exists and it does mix some things, yes?
It's just to tell that we are experiencing a fight between, let's say, a competition between international staff and researchers and students for the University of Venice.
Yes.
They cannot find a house because it's more convenient to rent it on an Airbnb platform. So before getting there.
But it's convenient for the students now.
Nope. No,
No,
it's,
you mean,
it's impossible
you don't have
to
it.
find
Yeah,
a
I
house.
understand.
It's,
yeah.
let's say, almost impossible.
Yeah, we hope that our country will decide also to build a new student campus in Ljubljana. We have it spatially planned already, that it will help also our students. We have some of the challenges also, yes, connected to that. Mm.
Okay. Thank you very much for all your questions, and thank you again,
Thank you.
Ms. Fitzka.
Thank you.
Next, may we invite to the stage Ms. Renata Zamida, Director General of the Creative Centre Rog, with her presentation titled Centre Rog Creative Hub, Revitalization of Ljubljana's most important industrial heritage building. Renata will present Ljubljana's latest and biggest investment in the creative potential of the city, the Centre Rog, a widely accessible creative and interdisciplinary hub opening its doors in 2023 on the premises of the former Rog factory. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we can start with the initial slide. So it is my pleasure to present to you our new creative hub in the making, since we're opening next year. Centre Rog, which I think will be quite a unique place in Ljubljana for at least two reasons. Firstly, by offering a huge shared makerspace and a number of individual and group studios. In the building, we will foster the city's creativity for professionals and amateurs alike. And secondly, by focusing strongly on the following areas that in the perception of a cultural institution never were directly nurtured, which are fabrication, urban handicraft, applied arts, design, engineering, architecture, also urbanism. Okay, next slide, please. So now here you will see a couple of pictures. So Centre Rog is being set up as part of the revival of the Rog factory site. And the revitalization plans for the Rog site include the renovation of the factory itself, which is almost 9,000 square meters. You can see the building here, it's 120 meters long. And the conversion of the factory courtyard into a multi-purpose park and edible garden. You see the courtyard on the northern side here on the upper picture, and this is another almost 8,000 square meters. The park will be accessible at all times, and I'm sure it will be a great asset for the local population, since we never can have enough public green space. The riverbank connects basically the city center with the Rog area and also the new Ljubljanica gallery where we are now, which is on the other side of the river. I think you have for sure passed Centre Rog construction site in the past days. And the Ljubljanica river embankment, you can see that on those two photos, will be transformed into the pedestrian area. So it is also being renovated now at the moment, and it will be reopened as a pedestrian area next year. So what we also did is, as soon as the construction site opened last year, we started to do guided tours of the site and the building, which turned out to be actually a great communication tool to get the public, the general and the more interested one, informed about the future place, about its programs, but also on how it's being rebuilt, redone, since this is a place that it's an important cultural heritage site. Okay, next slide, please. I wanted to show you in this slide that this is not a yesterday's idea. So the manner in which Centre Rog has been developed provides actually a great example of highly community-based participatory planning of this major public investment. So the vision, the mission, and the future programs of Centre Rog have been elaborated in close partnership with users and stakeholders through the Rog Lab pilot project. So you can see that construction little there in 2012. So Rog Lab is actually a physical object. It's a container of 30 square meters, 27. It's equipped into a small fab lab, and at the time it was set up, so in 2012, it was the smallest public fab lab in Europe. And in 2018, the city of Ljubljana won the Eurocities Innovative Award. It was handed out by the Eurocities Network for the Rog Lab team's development model for Centre Rog. So in the period of 2012 up until last year, nearly 8,000 stakeholders, users, potential users took part in various participatory processes concerning the programming of the future building to get something that the city needs and doesn't yet have. Next slide, please. So when we were planning and developing this institution, which is a public institution founded and funded by the city of Ljubljana and its programs, we committed to various things that we will closely follow. One is the circular use of space. Since there is a constant lack of space, especially workspace, but also living space in Ljubljana, we decided that we will promote circular use. Then by pursuing sustainable development and lifelong learning. Then we are devoted to gender equality, equity, social inclusion. For that reason, we also included some strong participatory governance tools, which is not so usual in such public cultural institutions. For example, we will have a participatory budget, and we will also involve our users in the decision-making where we can. Then we also committed to a strong cross-sectoral and international focus. And that's why we believe that Centre Rog will not only cater to those who directly use it, but will also have a positive impact on the life of the community as a whole. So basically, Centre Rog will provide creators, organizations, also educational ones, businesses, and the general public with a supportive environment. So we include modern infrastructure, expertise, and international connections for the development of their innovative, sustainable, and socially responsible products. Next slide, please. So in this slide, you can see our overall commitment to SDGs. And for this reason, we also collaborate with various initiatives such as UCLG, so United Cities Local Governments, or the Fab City Network, which Ljubljana joined on our initiative just recently, just this autumn. But to give you an example, what does for us this also mean in practice, In April of this year, the European Commission published their main document for the European Green Deal, which includes rules that all physical goods on the EU market should be environmentally friendly, should be circular, energy efficient throughout their entire life cycle. So when we at Centre Rog are going to publish our calls, public calls to use, for the use of our 20 studios for creatives. They will be able to use them for 3 years, just for you to know. We will condition the accepted projects also on sustainability criteria. So we will be actually fully in line also with European policies. Next slide, please. I just want to shortly show you what the building will include. So here you can see the ground floor, which will be a makerspace from the northern side. So this is from the Ljubljanica embankment side, on 1,200 square meters. So we will have here 7 different labs, from cooking to wood, from 3D printing to green lab, glass, ceramics, also textile. And 2 of the labs will have their own shops to also be able to sell what is produced there, maybe, and even something more. And then there will be a restaurant on the western part. Then we will have a vegan bistro with a delicatessen, and 7 little shops that will also cater to life in the city. Next slide, please. Then this is the first floor, where we will have on the east side a new public library. We have a great network of public libraries in Slovenia. We're very proud of that. That's an inheritance from the socialist times of Yugoslavia, but it's very similar to the public library system of the Nordic countries, for example. So we will have a public library, because I also think that public libraries and makerspaces, they go together very well. It's a very similar concept. And on the other side, we will have this huge multi-purpose hall on 700 square meters, and in the middle a nice cafe, and there's going to be a terrace on the Ljubljanica riverside, which I think is also going to be one of the nicest terraces in the city. And next slide. So this is the second floor of the building. Here we will mostly have our working studios, so individual and group working places that we will give to creatives for a time period of up to 3 years. And also a small screen painting lab and a multimedia lab. And the third slide, this might be of also greater interest for you. We are going to have 5 residential apartments, so for exchange with our international partners. So we are going to have a residency program, and one of these residencies is quite big. It's intended for families, because we know that especially single moms or families where creatives creating can harder get the chance to go for residency. And then there will also be our offices and some more of our residential working places. So basically, I believe that this will be a very exciting building. It's great to have this opportunity to be able to develop such an institution as Centre Rog from scratch, basically. Therefore, I would like to thank also the City of Ljubljana for their trust, for their commitment, also in this programming scheme. And of course, my still little small team of devoted co-workers who are half the brain. And I think that by bringing production back to the city, we will enable the community to take part directly in the cultural production and not only in cultural consumption. So I hope our audiences, our creatives, our partners will reward us for that, for making this X Factory vibrant and alive as vibrant and alive as it was in the past era of its golden ages of being a bicycle factory. Thank you. I think there's another slide where you can see our website. I also brought these little booklets and put them out there. Most of them are in Slovene, but some of them are also in English, so you can take this with you and explore a bit more of what we will offer. And I hope to see you all sooner or later coming back to Ljubljana at Centre Rog. Thanks.
Thank you to our speaker, and thank you all for your attention. We have time left only for 1 or 2 questions, if any of you have them. Yes.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I would like to I'm from Lisbon, and Nova University Lisbon has a partnership with one of the municipalities that is not Lisbon, but we are doing something that is a little bit similar to that in also an old building, and trying to connect it with the city, with the creative industries, but also connected with university in terms of education. So it's very similar. And what I thought it could be interesting is that this building or this initiative is now connected in a network or a European project that is called T Factor, T of time, because they are exploring the waiting time before you can have the building on, for its final purpose. So it's exploring that waiting time. And in fact, it's like a network of several buildings all over Europe that are in the process, like the Rock Center. So it could be interesting for, I'm going to tell my colleague that she's connected, she's the executive director of our building, to maybe contact you. So thank you. But it's very interesting.
Thanks. And we actually know the building, and we know the initiative. And my colleague was to Portugal just a couple of weeks ago, also to Fab Lab Buino, and so she made a whole tour. So thank you. You have some very nice initiatives also outside Lisbon.
Yeah, but I think the whole network of buildings that I mentioned can be, I think, can be very interesting.
Yes.
So, but congratulations.
We have time for 1 more question. So, then thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Zamida. Lastly, before we close this session, I would like to invite Tjaša Nabargoj, the project manager of the Utopia 2050 project and the coordinator of this Utopia Week, to tell you a bit more about the sustainable potential of this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Urban. So I'm here to share with you more technical and logistical details that you are waiting for, I'm sure. But before doing so, I would like to say a few words about the Utopia Week in Ljubljana, and also to give special thanks to all the colleagues that have been involved in this very challenging organization. So this conference was not an easy task. You have noticed this. Like in science, this kind of project needs people with dedication and sense of belonging. And I dare to speak on behalf of all my colleagues. We honestly want this university to advance in all directions, to become even more international, open and inclusive, and sustainably smart. And this Utopia Week is the result of this dedication. The main idea behind the Utopia Week in Ljubljana, under the slogan University of the Future, Universe of Opportunities, was to touch the topic upon sustainability from all possible angles, the old 3 Ps that were mentioned before, environmental, social, and economical, and to offer enough space for everyone to build connections, test and shared ideas, and if I may borrow the concept from the Utopia educational model, create communities, connected communities. Not necessarily academic ones, but in all cases communities that will last or at least leave an important trace. The universities are the most connected and complex ecosystems that we can imagine, and we, the people, are the center for it. And I would like now to mention these people. I would like to give special thanks to some very important colleagues. The University of Ljubljana EUTOPIA organization team, one of the non-academic connected communities that was created also thanks to EUTOPIA and represents the real engine behind the product branded EUTOPIA Week. So Ljubljana team, if you don't mind, I would like you to stand up. Mateja, Iris, Neva, Haris, Lori, Hannah, Simona, Jelena, Manza, all the students. Thank you very much. Without you, this would not be possible. Since it's the last week of our first pilot project, EUTOPIA 2050, I would also like to mention our second connected community, our international project management team that has been Zoomly with us every second week for the last 3 years. Mireia, you're here, right? We found only this one. Mike, unfortunately, he's not with us. Denise, Karin, Lise, and Christina, thank you all for co-creating this new community. You are a milestone and a deliverable for us. And there are more, EUTOPIA more communities on the horizon. I think you're all with us here. So Mauro, Rita, Maite, Peter, Federico, Sara, Sergio, Harald, I wish you all the best in the forthcoming years with the EUTOPIA More. And finally, what you'll be waiting for, some logistical details for the rest of the evening and some details for the rest of the week. I would like to invite you after this session to enjoy the catering of one of the chefs, very good one, and the certified sommelier, Alexandra Bohins, who will tell you, if you ask him something about the food and the wine, especially one of the most internationally recognized sparkling wine that we will offer here today, that you will be able to taste, Radgonska Penina. And most importantly, thanks to the courtesy of the Cukrarna Gallery, you can also visit the current exhibition titled For Generation by one of the great 20th century artists, Michelangelo Pistoletto. For security reasons, we cannot visit the exhibition all at once, so I will ask you to proceed in smaller groups. I suggest those of you who have further arrangements this evening, so dinners or other, you go first with the hostess, she will wait you there. And then after the first group, the others can join after. If there are some rectors here, I saw some of you, you need to take a taxi 15 to 8 outside, because you need to join the dinner at 8 in time. And last but not least, I would also like to remind you that all EUTOPIA guests, upon showing your name tags, are offered free entrance to the City Museum's exhibition, Plečnik, the Metropolis Place Garden, our greatest modernist architect. And you can also use your name tag as a free pass on all public transport in Ljubljana, which means buses only. And for your information, we have city bikes, as was said before, and taxis that are very safe and affordable in Ljubljana, so do not hesitate to use them. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the rest of the evening.